Psalm 90 reminds us this morning that God is our dwelling place. And today we remember those who have passed through the veil of death and gone home into the arms of God. It is important to remember these saints and souls who have gone before us. We remember great leaders like Moses and John Lewis and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We remember those whose names are recorded here behind me on our memorial tree. We remember those whose lives have been lost due to the global pandemic this year. We remember those we know and love, whose importance does not fade with time, and whose gifts continue to bless our world. This year, we cannot meet in person and bring our photographs and light candles on our shared altar, so we are trying something different. I invited those who I knew had lost someone close to them in the past year or so to share with all of us a photo and a very brief recorded remembrance. It has been such an incredible gift for me to receive these and to listen to them, and I hope that it is a gift to you to witness them. The lives of these saints and souls are God's good news for us today. Dorothy DeGrief, remembered by son Matt DeGrief.
Dorothy Jane DeGrief. Dottie loved all the people in her life, but she loved her husband, children, grandchildren, and great-grandson more than anything. At the age of 42, she earned her nursing degree and worked as a telemetry nurse for over 20 years. She loved to read detective novels, say the rosary, and attend noon mass. She is a survivor of over 18 surgeries and battled amyloidosis, a blood cancer, for over 6 years, and she finally could not win her final battle over an infection. My mother survived unthinkable pain, and she never abandoned her faith, her family, or her belief that someday she would overcome a body that betrayed her for so many years. I know she is safe, loved, and pain-free, wrapped in God's grace. Amen.
Ronnie Dahl, remembered by husband Jim Barkovic.
Her laugh, it was truly infectious. Her voice, whether it was Mozart or Mitchell, Joni Mitchell, Copeland or Carol, Carole King, it was sublime. Her wit, her dry wit, her extremely dry wit, her guitar playing, it brought beauty and a sense of calm to all who heard her. Her love of family, especially of Emily and all her amazing accomplishments. Her travel bug, she relished her trips around the U.S., Taiwan, Europe, and just a few months before her passing, Mexico. Her passion for science, especially evolutionary biology, although she ended up working as a molecular biologist, and so it goes. Her commitment to the Girl Scouts. After being an avid camper as a youth, she was a troop leader both in Minnesota and in Washington State, and then was the assistant camp director in Rhode Island. Her love of nature, the Northwoods of Minnesota, the mountains, and especially anything involving water, a lake, a sea, an ocean. Her books. After her passing, Emily and I donated most of her books to the Littleton Town Library and to the book sale at West Concord Union Church. In all, there were over 550 books. Finally, her deep spirituality. She wrote poetry and composed songs, which gave voice to her heart and soul.
Fleming Farmer, remembered by Sister Ann Schumers.
My brother, Fleming Farmer, was a gentle, sweet, kind man. He loved his parents, his siblings, his nieces, his nephews, and his friends. One of the strongest memories of him that I have when I was young was watching sports such as golf and track and field and football on TV with him. Fleming walked me down the aisle when I married John, and I will never forget his love for me and his sweet smile.
Gail Gibson, remembered by daughters Ellie Garvey and Chris Price.
I'm Chris Price.
I'm Ellie Garvey, and this is our mother, Gail Gibson.
Our mother died in March, just as the pandemic began to rage. We were so fortunate to be with her to say goodbye in her closing hours.
Mom was kind, funny, smart, and a fiend for books and fabric. She gave her heart to anyone in need and was the glue that held her family close. We were blessed to have her with us for 84 years.
Her spirit is with us every day, and we take joy that she is at peace in God's loving care.
Tony Horber, remembered by daughter Liz Horber.
Hi, this is Liz Horber. My father, Anton, known as Tony, died in January at the age of 90. He had an interesting life. He was born in a German community in an area of Romania called Transylvania. At the age of 15 and a half, he was drafted into the German army. Luckily, by the time he was sent to the front to fight the war, it had ended with the West. In 1953, he came to the United States as a displaced person. In New York, he met my mother, who had arrived from Germany around the same time. They were married and had 2 children, me and my brother. What I remember most about my father was how devoted he was to his family and how much he loved us. For someone of his cultural background and his generation, he freely and frequently told us, "I love you." The picture I included of him was from about 4 months before he died. My father was always fixing things, and the last few years of his life in an assisted living and then a dementia facility were difficult. He didn't feel useful anymore. So last September, we set up a picnic bench in our garage and a grinder, and he sharpened all my knives and gardening tools. You can see the purpose and concentration in this picture. He was so happy to be useful. My father also loved the United States and said it was one of the best things he ever did. In the last year of his life, he often would burst out in public settings and sing "God Bless America" in his heavy German accent with his own take of the words and melody. How I wish I could hear him sing that again. My father was a good man and a good father, and I miss him and always will.
Charles Lessa, remembered by his daughter Valerie Lessa.
My dad, Charlie, passed away on July 7th. My brother and my mom and I miss him very much. He was a lawyer and a veteran who served as a JAG officer. His favorite thing to do was travel, and I will always remember going on a cruise to the British Isles with our whole family.
Jerry Mascarello, remembered by his wife Jean Mascarello, and this remembrance was recorded by Ann Bailey.
Jerry Mascarello was a wonderful man who spent his life thinking of other people and finding ways he could help them. He loved doing things for his family and friends, of course, but also reached out to others in the community, especially the elderly. Many of the cards I've received stated how kind and generous he was to them, which has helped me to heal.
Kate O'Brien, remembered by her mother-in-law, Constance Putnam.
Fully aware of the cruel inevitability of what ALS does to the body, my daughter-in-law, Kate O'Brien, used her beautiful mind and spiritual strength to continue living richly to the very end. Kate was a nurturer, an amazing cook. She created beauty in many artistic media. She founded and ran an online company. Devoted to her husband and children, she enjoyed her first grandchild's first 10 months. A stunning number of friends and family surrounded and supported her to the end. We who knew and loved her are better, stronger people because she was part of our lives.
Christina Picard, remembered by her family, Joan and Al Heron and Jennifer Hutton, and this remembrance was recorded by Melissa Tustin.
Christina was so joyful. She loved her life with her housemates and the staff and the day center. She grew up knowing John, her lifelong friend, and we believe she loved him very much. Christina enjoyed our shopping trips when we would visit and loved to ride the duck boats. She was always up for an adventure or just to enjoy relaxing with us. She was excited to go to the Bruins games, the aquarium, and petting zoos. Christina loved people and was very sensitive to other people's needs. She always tried to help others with disabilities. She was determined to live her life to the fullest. Christina loved her chocolate ice cream, bowling, and being the queen of the house and taking care of everyone. She loved animals and understood their vulnerability. We miss her cute smile, her love of life, and her wonderful laugh.
John Martino, again remembered by Melissa Tustin.
John Martino was beloved to his family and a lifelong friend to Christina Picard. As a child and teenager, he studied American Sign Language and participated in ski racing through the Special Olympics. As an adult, he was a loving uncle to his sister Phyllis's twins, always spending holidays and birthdays with them and sharing their common love for the Three Stooges and Boston sports. Knowing that John and Christina are housemates again in heaven brings great comfort to all who knew and loved John.
Louis Sedlock, remembered by his son, David Sedlock.
Upon the passing of a very close loved one, in this case my father Louis, I think it's only natural to associate some everyday activities and the occasional special event to the life and joy that this person provided all of us. After 94 active, wonderful, and love-filled years, my father left this world on March 12th of this year. He died peacefully, with his family surrounding him, as we shared the love we all felt because of his life with us. Now, after his death, I find myself noticing numerous activities, events, phrases, and even the pleasant smell of something good from the kitchen that will trigger a little memory of our wonderful life with Dad. He made friends with and loved everyone, and everybody had a kind word for Dad. He is sorely missed by his family, but his love lives on with all of us who knew him.
Renee Simon, remembered by her sister, Mary Jane Hall.
Loving mother to her sons and all her extended family, thoughtful and faithful big sister and generous friend, ever ready to listen. As a social worker, she strove to care for children and youth with disabilities.
And Gretel Shanley, remembered by son Carlin Andrus.
Gretel Shanley was affectionately known as Grandma Gigi to friends and family alike. She's celebrated for sharing her artistry with the world as a professional flutist and teacher, and for her unwavering dedication to fostering world peace and helping those less fortunate. Her independent spirit and passion for befriending people from around the world and all walks of life was an inspiration to others and has left us with many wonderful stories. We miss her dearly and will always remember her as a loving mother and grandmother.